Am I the asshole for having a dry wedding and serving only water for drinks? Okay, so basically my husband and I are getting married later this year. Each of our sides of the family are fairly big. It will be around 100 to 150 people total. My husband and I are paying for this all ourselves, as well as my grandma, who said she doesn't care one way or the other on this issue. She just loves weddings. We have a lot of kids in our family, so we decided against making it child-free, but we did decide to make it dry. So there will be no alcohol of any kind at our wedding. Honestly, this doesn't have anything to do with there being kids there, but due to the fact that my fiancé and I don't drink. Nothing against people who do, it's just not for us and we don't want to. On top of that, we only really drink water. We rarely, if ever, drink soda, so most of the time it's only water with the occasional juice and milk. We don't even drink coffee. So obviously the food, which is a part my grandma is not paying for, is going to be expensive for that many people. We are having our wedding catered, so everyone will have a good choice of food to choose from, but to drink only water will be provided. We don't want to have to pay for alcohol or soda. It is just a large added expense when we can just do filtered water for a much cheaper cost. Well, when family and friends found out, being got angry. Some didn't really care, but some are really upset about it. Saying that I can just have an open bar so I don't have to pay for drinks. We could, but still have to pay for the bartender, and we just really don't want to bother with alcohol there. Or we should at least have soda, because how can we expect everyone to drink only water? The kids will be upset. The wedding will be boring. That this is not how weddings work. Etc. So am I the asshole? I didn't think this would be a problem. It's only water. I mean, don't most people drink water every day anyway? Should we pay the extra to have soda to make the family happy? Am I the asshole for selling the house my brother and his family live in? Short and simple, I think. A few years ago, my brother needed help. I let him move into one of my rental properties, and we did it all legal. Lease agreement and everything. Because I was renting to him at a break-even point, we agreed that he was responsible for all the maintenance of the house and yard. Well, he has 4 kids. And the hot water tank isn't enough for his family, and he wants a new one. I told him to go ahead. He then proceeded to take the cost of the hot water tank and installation of that month's rent. I reminded him of our agreement. He said he wasn't making improvements to my property for free. I said that the old hot water tank was fine, and he made the decision to replace it. Big argument, and I didn't want to fight, so I said that he was not allowed to make any further changes to the house without my explicit agreement. So he stopped doing maintenance as a protest. The house itself is not pretty, but it is solid. It is old, and the wiring in it was not meant for all the modern electronics we have. He wanted to add a new breaker box and run more outlets. I said no thanks. I cannot afford that since I'm not making any money on the house. He started getting bitchy about it, and the rent started getting paid late. I tried talking to him, but he said that he had to buy some stuff for the house and he was low on cash. So I sold the house. While the house itself isn't great, it is in an older part of the city, and the property itself is 1/4 of an acre. Every time a house sells in the neighborhood, it is snapped up by developers and tuned into multi-family units. Or one guy built a McMansion on his land. I know a lot of the developers, and I didn't even need to list the house to have it sold in less than a week. My brother found out when he was served with an eviction notice. He called me to ask WTF. So I told him that the house was causing me headaches and I had an opportunity to make some money, and I took it. He said I should have offered him a chance to buy it. I said that he was having trouble making rent. How was he going to qualify for a mortgage? He said I'm an asshole and that he has the money. He was waiting to make me an offer. I asked him if he had money why he was late on his rent. He started bad-mouthing me to all our family. A few of them took his side and tried to say I was being an asshole, so I offered all of them a chance to clear his debt to me if they wanted to share their opinion. None of them took me up on the offer. My parents are on my side, and they said I shouldn't have rented to him in the first place. I feel bad for my sister-in-law and the kids, but I'm not going to spend the rest of my life subsidizing his. Am I the asshole for saying my son can make his own choices? My son is 18 and will graduate from high school in a few months. Lately, he has been fighting a lot with my wife and I. My wife isn't his biological mother, but she's been his mom since he was 3. A week ago, they got into a big fight, and my wife got frustrated and yelled at him that she wasn't his mother. Since then, he has been completely cold to her, and when he does have to address her, he does so by her first name. My wife confiscated the keys to his car last night, but I gave them back this morning because he didn't curse at her, just call her by her name. Besides, I don't want to drive all the kids to school and then pick them up. My wife is upset and said I need to support her and talk to him. I think it's pointless. He's 18. If he doesn't want to call her mom, we can't really make him. My wife says I am being a lazy asshole that just doesn't want to have a conversation with him. Maybe I am an asshole, but I did talk to him. He said he's not going to call her mom again, ever. Well, what am I supposed to do about it? Even if we find a way to force him to, he's going to school out of state, so what would we do then? Just seems like a pointless battle that will only create more animosity. But maybe that's just what a lazy asshole would say. Am I the asshole for saying dishwashing is unskilled labor? I've been seeing this girl for 3 months who I'm pretty into. She's a professional chef, hot, and basically a badass. She smokes pot and drinks a lot more than me, but other than that I have no complaints. She's very assertive because she has to be in her line of work, and luckily I'm into that, if you know what I mean. She works at an upscale bar, hence the drinking, where the food is really important, and she's super talented, so her dishes get written up in our local media, which is so cool. It feels a bit like dating a celebrity when we go out because she seems to know all the industry people and we get free drinks and stuff. The problem came up when she was complaining about her job, which she does a lot. She says her boss is unsupportive and won't hire more help for the kitchen. Right now she does almost everything herself, so her hours are crazy long and she's stressed all the time. I agree it doesn't make sense to be so short-staffed because it seems like the bar is always busy and they make good money. The owner is an old-school boomer guy who thinks she's overreacting, or so she says. I don't like feeling helpless when she complains about work, so I offered to help wash dishes one night so she wouldn't have to work until 3 a.m. and we could go out. I made a lot of money in tech and retired early, so I have some time on my hands. She looked surprised and laughed and said, "Thank you for the offer." I was kind of hoping she would turn me down, but the way she said it was kind of patronizing, so I pressed a bit. She went into professional mode and asked if I'd ever washed dishes before. I said, yes, obviously, but not in a restaurant or anything. Now she looked really annoyed and asked why I thought I could just jump in and wash dishes without any experience. I laughed at this and said anyone could wash dishes. Teenagers do it as their first job. She got offended and said I didn't understand the realities of kitchen work because it's not easy and dishwashers are the most important person in the restaurant. I thought that was a huge exaggeration. I worked at a Wendy's in high school and it's the same damn skill set. What she does is skilled, but washing dishes is not skilled labor. She said there's no such thing as unskilled labor, and I'd take you up on your offer if I thought you wouldn't mess up service. I thought that was really rude and misguided. No such thing as unskilled labor. Are you kidding me? And told her so. She told me I was condescending and presumptuous, and she gets enough of that from her boss. The date was awkward for a while until she smiled and changed the subject, but now I can't stop wondering if her boss doesn't have a point about her overreacting. Am I the asshole for refusing to spend my money on my stepdaughter's wedding? My wife passed away when my sons were 8 and 4 respectively. Since then I remarried, and my new wife and I have been married for some 11 years now. She herself was married before and had a daughter of her own from her own past marriage. Her ex-husband's story is its own saga, but suffice to say he's alive, but isn't in their life anymore. When we married, my bio children were 13, son, and 9, son, and my stepdaughter was 12, stepdaughter. For 11 years I tried to make some bridges. I would get her gifts and try to make sure she always got what she wanted. I did everything I could to make her happy. I would drive her to school, be at her extracurriculars. I paid for the nicest private schools for her I could. Not to mention, I worked day and night so I could give her the lifestyle she deserved. My wife is a housewife, a choice she made after she voluntarily quit her job in marketing. I tried my best and treated her just like my sons, but she continued to hate me. This came to a head specifically when my stepdaughter graduated about 5 years ago. While my eldest son had invited my wife, his stepmom, to his graduation, my stepdaughter refused to invite me. She had 2 tickets, but she only invited her mother. Her grandparents refused as they live in my wife's native country. When I asked why, she said, "You're not my dad, you didn't raise me, and I don't want you in my life." I was heartbroken. I tried very hard for her to like me, but she hated me. Still, I paid for her college. I paid for both of my sons' colleges as well. Nevertheless, a few months back, she informed my wife that she will be getting married. I only found out when my wife told me. What was even more devastating is that she said she would come home to celebrate, and I brought a cake and balloons and so much more. Then, last minute, she changed plans. She just told my wife that she should come over to her apartment without my sons and I. I was shattered. When I did eventually call to congratulate her, she just tried to end the conversation as quickly as she could. The last thing I had asked was maybe the honor to have a father-daughter dance with her, which she had shot down. I said nothing, but then came the bill and my wife said she needed some money for her wedding. I considered it long and hard, but clearly as she didn't consider me as her father, I said I would not be paying for her wedding. I told my wife that she had money saved up. It was her choice to use that if she wanted, but I would not be paying for her wedding. She was furious at me. She said she barely had any money saved up and I was being an awful person. I have received calls from all of my wife's family telling me that I should pay, mainly her immediate family, like my father-in-law and my brother-in-law. The whole thing has become a mess. It has divided our family, but I am still holding my ground. AITA? First edit. I want to be clear. I will absolutely be paying for my son's wedding when it comes. Second edit. I want to also clarify that this is going to be far from a minor financial inconvenience. While I am sufficiently wealthy, it is still not something that will not go easy on my bank account. My wife's family is Indian. Her ex-husband was Indian and my stepdaughter is Indian. Her wedding is going to have probably around 400 to 600 people. Third edit. My wife has been an amazing mother to both our boys and our girl. She is loving and doting wife who runs a phenomenal house. She tried to get her daughter close to me as well, to little consequence. I also do not think that I could be where I am without her, and certainly before her I was nowhere close to where I am in my success. It is also true that my money has always been our money, and she does most of the accounting for the house anyway. If I do this, I would be doing this for her, not my daughter. Moreover, if she really wanted to, she could do it without my approval. More than half the money is in bank accounts with her name on them, long story, involving bad business decisions early in my life, which gave me bad credit. If she wanted to, she could. She never has, and I do not think she will. If she does, that will be her choice, and even if she told me she was going to, I do not think I will stop her. Fourth edit. Some of you have made me questions about my life. Yes, I do have one son with my wife. My wife had her daughter when she was quite young, 19, and we had a baby boy. It was not planned, and he is 3 now, after my daughter graduated. I wish to keep parts of my life hidden because they were not important to this story, but some of you have mentioned that this may be important to the story as it may have impacted my relationship with my daughter. I assure you, she was just as cold with me before the baby, and the event at her graduation happened before my daughter knew about the pregnancy. Am I the asshole for telling my bridesmaid she can't bring her 2-month-old baby on my hen party? I, 33F, am getting married in a little over 6 weeks. I announced my engagement last year in January and asked my best friends to be bridesmaids. One friend, Lucy 32F, was already pregnant, would have a 6-month-old at the wedding, and a month or 2 after another, Sarah 33F, announced she was pregnant, would have a 3-month-old at the wedding, none of which bothered me in the slightest. I requested the babies didn't come to the ceremony, but are more than welcome for the rest of the day. Both babies have been born now, and both Lucy and Sarah have been exclusively breastfeeding. Lucy has eventually managed to get her little one to feed from a bottle. This is off her own back with no pressure from me. I understand the children are young, and it can be difficult to leave them for a full day, just in time for the hen party, which is Saturday. Sarah is having trouble with this and has announced that her son will be around the bars we will be in with her baby so he can bring the baby to her to feed. I'm not sure this is appropriate and told her one bar specifically doesn't allow children, to which she replied, "Oh, so we'll have to go next door then." Turns out she had planned for her son and baby to be in the bars with us, just at a different table. I told her if it's that much stress for her, maybe just come to lunch and then go home to her child. She said that no, she doesn't mind breastfeeding her at the bar and it will be fine. The other bridesmaids and I were quite confused and said, "Surely you're not suggesting bringing your 2-month-old child on a hen party?" I told her straight there would be drinking, swearing, and God knows what else going on, and it's just not appropriate, which she took offense at and is now hardly talking to any of us. My question is, was I too harsh? Is it okay for her so to follow us around bars and restaurants with their baby? Am I the asshole? Edit. 1. To be clear, she won't be drinking at the bachelorette, so no problem with breastfeeding. 2. No smoking in bars in our state.